They didn't care how greasy they look or their hair's messed up.
Well, SoulKey's, he's donned the glasses, guys. He's done it. He put them on. I'd like to see it without, but you know what? He looks great with them on as well.
Yeah, he still looks handsome. Looks like a good guy.
Now, I did say this once before, but he looks like he could be the brother of a girl I once dated. They have very similar facial structures, and I look at him every time, and I just see it. Like, he's got this very distinct face. And
so that's why you call him handsome.
No,
we figured it out now.
No, that's not it. She also had glasses most of the time. Now, Maru here, 13-6. His arrow points east. You know, Moonglade, I'm not sure if you are up to date on what that means, but basically it's what the press and some of our analysts are feeling like his condition is right now. Like if it's pointing up, it looks like he's
trend he's in.
Yeah, like, it's kind of where he's trending.
So he's going east at the moment.
Well, I mean, not like he's going east, but like he's going straight instead of like trending downwards negatively or trending upwards. Like he's like getting better and better.
He's on the level.
Yeah, if you're doing really well recently, you'll be an upwards arrow or northeast.
So he's peaked and he's like plateaued and he's just chilling there.
Yeah, something like that. Well, let's go into game 2 on merry-go-round. Solar looking crazy. A lot of people looking upset. That's what happens here at the SPL.
LTA는 SK텔레콤.
Down here in the south, in the orange for SK Telecom, it is SoulKey.
Very handsome.
And over there in the top left in the green, of course, for JINAIR Green Wings is Maru, Terran player.
Well, you know, I get it. Again, I feel like we didn't talk about this enough. The arrow that we saw earlier that points.
Let's talk about the arrow, man, because I'm still a little bit weirded out about why it was east.
Okay,
what about west?
Well, the thing about it pointing east versus pointing west is that it might be confusing because then it points towards his head.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's really strange.
That's kind of strange because it's like he's, you know, it's pointing at him, and I don't know. I think it's like usually.
Then he gets self-conscious and.
I mean,
Moonglade,
most people read from left to right. I know there are actually a numerous amount of languages out there that also do the reverse way, which confuses me a lot of the time, especially those people reading those books backwards. But anyway, I want to go into like a more serious note. He didn't perform at his best, arguably, at the GSL Global Tournament. Took some rough sets and didn't make it to the round of 4 even, and not even close to the finals. So playing against some players over there, like, you know, that really just weren't on his level, I would say, then he still didn't look that strong against them. So
yeah, I mean, he played against San from the European region, and he also played against Su, which I think he took a 1-2 loss there. And in all 3 of those games, he just did not look too good. It was also obvious that his eyes were bothering him. He had eye drops in the booth, and he continuously was putting them in his eyes over and over and over again to the point that it looked like he was crying. Wow. But obviously, he was bothered by dry eyes that day, and he definitely wasn't on his best game.
Well, I mean, maybe he's more of a preparation-focused player,
yeah,
compared to like a big tournament. Because I mean, like
I think so, man. And that's the thing, because we've talked about this a lot. You look at a player like Flash, gets smacked down, stomped, crushed, annihilated, humiliated, almost even sometimes in these 4-player groups. He never goes to overseas tournaments. And you see him play a best of 1, or you see him play a best of 5 in a tournament, he just destroys it. People say, well, I mean, he was in 4-player groups in the OSL, but the OSL you play a 1 match like per week, and you do the next part of your group the next week, so you have a lot more time. Whereas in the GSL, you have to play against 3 other people potentially in 1 group in 1 night. So, you know, I think that Maru is definitely more of a preparation type player. He's going to come over here and try to prepare for what he's up against in this game with that Reaper popping in. Going to see what the gas timing is, and SoulKey's going to have to mic for that drone. Does it at the last second.
Zerglings popping out are going to push that Reaper off the creep, but this Reaper is brave enough to come back. Going to start poking at those drones once again. He's only going to make 6 Zerglings here. Very nice micro so far, saving that 1 Zergling as well. Not losing anything just yet.
Yep.
Yep. It's a very safe standard build from SoulKey. He went for like the 15 hatch, 16 pool, like 17 gas, I think it was, which means his speed is like a little bit slower than it could be. I mean, this is like a rather large map, so getting like 2 racks proxied or anything like that is unlikely, but yeah, he definitely delayed it for faster circling, kind of just being a little bit safer.
Yeah.
And this map, it's because it's so open like this, like the 3rd and the 4th and everything, pretty much everything is just really open. It's like great for Reaper Hellion. So I wouldn't be, yeah, we got three Reapers on the map now, and he's going to add in a lot of Hellions. I wouldn't be surprised if he added in Banshees, because you know you can pressure so hard on the 3rd and 4th on this map, and you can like pick Queens off, you can pick Zerglings off, you can do so much damage early. And I've seen games end prematurely, just like from harassment of Reaper Hellion on this map, just because it's so big.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We've seen a lot of players do that on this map in particular. Just targeting down that hatch, doing as much damage as possible. You know, you either basically have to decide to, are you going to save your hatchery at the cost of trying to, you know, maybe losing a few queens, or are you going to lose the hatchery to save your queens and cancel that base, but then you're on 2 base. It gets a Terran player can easily add a 3rd. Looks like Maru is going down the road of the faster 3rd CC, at least for now. And I want to ask you, Moonglade, because you know, we have this opportunity now.
Lay it on me, man.
What do you think about the new maps actually in the WCS pool?
They feel very open, a lot of them, and I kind of like it like that, to be honest. It's refreshing. I as a Zerg player, obviously, I don't like choke points as much, but you know, these open maps, they're interesting. They're fun. If you can get to like a pretty safe mid game with Zerg, you can get a bit of an advantage like that, because you don't have to deal with so many choke points.
Right.
So, you know, I kind of like him. It's nice to change it up regardless of what kind of map they are.
And what are your thoughts on Way Station?
Way Station.
It's a map with it's 2 spawning locations possible. You either have the close spawns or the cross ones.
That can be brutal for Zerg if it's like close position. That's like pretty damn brutal, especially like maybe against Protoss. And even Terran, I mean, like, it's closer to harassment and it's closer to like timing attacks like Immortal Lens. And it can be very kind of luck-based, but it's not too bad. It's still playable, especially if it's like long positions.
It definitely feels like that map is most damning towards Zergs, if you just think about the idea there.
I mean, like, it's either like the longest map or it's the shortest map, so either way, like, Zerg's not too happy with it. And it looks like we got Roaches and Speedlings coming out right now, so we might actually be seeing a timing here.
Well, it looks like he's made just a few Roaches right now. I think he's just trying to buffer against the Hellions with this, but he does have that Baneling Nest. And he's still mining a lot of gas here. The thing about this is I think he's trying to make it look like it's an all-in.
Yeah, I think so.
And then he's going to do those Evo Chambers, because those are hidden up there on the high ground.
Yeah, and he's droning up behind this so far.
This is like a really good play to kind of like minimize the kind of harassment the Hellion Reaper can do. Kind of make him go on the defensive a bit more, stay in his base while he drones up that 3rd base, while he goes to Mutalisk, while he upgrades his Zerg.
Yeah, it really gives you so much map control on this big map, like you were saying before. You can, you know, you can sacrifice making a bunch more drones just to get this map control and push the Terran all the way back while you're taking that 3rd base, and it makes you actually a lot more safe even while you're attacking.
Absolutely. It's a very, very smart play, and it gives him a chance to get that creep out, which is also pretty damn hard against so many Reaper Hellion.
Right. You know, also, let's keep this in mind, I think this might have something to do also with the fact that when Maru lost to Su, he died to a Roach all-in, where he played too greedy with the same 3 command center build. So I think he's just like doing this because I mean, he might be keeping that in mind too. Like, okay, Maru just died to this in the final game, so maybe he's actually going to be scared and freak out and make a bunch of bunkers, and maybe even like a siege tank or something when he sees this coming.
So meta.
He's playing on his fears, man. It's a good play. Okay.
Well, I guess, I mean, in this case, Maru is not really overreacting, and
well, he
he's
made a
figured
couple
it out.
bunkers, and yeah, he realized it was a ruse all along, and now SoulKey's in a pretty nice position. You know, saturated 3rd base, great creep spread. No 4th just started.
Just then.
Just then, and going into Spire.
He's had a lot of drones for a very long time now, he's getting the upgrades. It's a little bit behind Maru, but Maru's actually late on that armory, so that 2-2 is going to start a little bit late here. And SoulKey's actually going to catch up with the upgrades at least as well.
And looks like SoulKey, massing Zerglings in the middle now. He's kind of getting ready for that first push out by Maru. Probably going to spawn some Banelings soon, and he's going to just try and jump on this army the moment it comes out into the map. Keeping that middle in control.
I really like this Roach force because it's more Roaches than sometimes you see a player make like 4, and he makes this many, And we'll talk about it a little bit more after we have this attack here. He's just going to try to catch Maru out in the middle of the map. And he's brave enough to do this actually without any Mutalisks. He's just going to go right in here and crush this ground army, forcing it all the way back to the third base. And now he's getting a good position there next to those SCVs, but he might have to end up lifting here. We'll see.
You know, I really like adding these Roaches in the back because the Zerglings tank so much damage, and the Roaches are just in the back, you know, kind of like Stalkers do for the Protoss army as well with the Zealots. And so far, this has totally pushed back this Maru army. He's just all the way back at his third base. He's going to start picking at those SCVs on the edge there. He's had to go all the way back to the bunker that he made, and now 13 Mutalisks on the way here. This is going to be a really nice tempo play here out of SoulKey.
Oh, but this might be an overcommittal. He should not be really trading like this. And Muta's going to be out, but he's not going to have any force on the map to really deal with Marines.
I don't know what he was thinking there. I mean,
that
he has
was a throwaway.
It was too much.
He has a +1/+1, but you know, so does Maru. So
that was a critical mistake, and he should have probably waited for some Banelings and sat on creep. Like while his Mutas came out, he did some good damage, and he could have followed up with like a Ling Baneling with Speed Bane attack and kind of just crushed the army completely. Instead, he kind of threw away everything he had. But I mean, he's still not in a terrible position. He did crush that first kind of attack. And Muta's going to go on the natural now.
Yeah, and only one turret here. He micros the weak Muta back as well. And now all these SCVs are not being pulled and actually getting a lot of damage done here.
Ooh, stacks him up there for a second too, but he's not going to be able to capitalize on it. Goes into the main base now. Let's see how much damage he gets done here.
No turret in the main base.
Yeah, nothing here.
So he's definitely getting some good damage, and at the same time, looks like he's running Zergling Baneling to the third base. And very potential damage here.
Yeah, quite a bit. Let's see, though. I mean, he's going to come over here now and, again, try to draw the units into the main base. Could he actually just go for this at the third of the speed bands? It looks like it.
Looks like he's going to go for the
Oh, my God.
Wow, okay.
Well, yeah, that's
some brilliant damage right now.
That'll do it, man.
That'll do it. That's going to definitely put him in a very solid lead. His fourth base is like pretty much fully saturated, and he's in such a commanding position. Great creep spread, everything connecting, no drops doing any damage while this was all happening.
You know, on top of all of this, he has, with this, you know, sort of damage he's doing, this tempo, his 2/2 upgrades are lining up. So it's not going to be this tragic situation of the Zerg where the Terran player is ahead in upgrades for most of the game, and that's really important here. It's still going to take him a while to get 3/3, but you know, he's on par for now.
Zerg can stay on 2/2 for a very long time against Terran, especially if they've got like a very decent economic lead. And right now, he's really destroying every SCV in the third base, really gives him that lead. And he's got the creep spread to defend against just about anything. And it's just a matter of like finding that good engagement and not throwing away too much.
Yeah. We saw SoulKey get a little bit overconfident before in that attack after he took a really nice attack at the third base. But, you know, now he has total control of this game. And as long as he doesn't make any huge mistakes here, I think he's going to take this one.
It's looking very promising. And he did wipe out that drop to the right. That was going to potentially do some damage in the third base.
Maru just doesn't quite have the resources to get his 3/3 upgrades. You know, he's spending all of his money on trying to get enough units out so he knows he can survive. And that's really key as a Terran player in a situation like this, is to try to get that upgrade lead so you can take these fights. And with all the fights we saw earlier that SoulKey took and all the damage he did, all that harassment, he's got this bank that he can work with to keep making Banelings. He always has enough units at home, and he's got that creep like you were talking about. And here we go. He's going to actually attack the Mutalisks into the main base while he runs over here with a bunch of Banelings and see if he has enough. It's going to be tough to actually walk up into this concave.
Yeah, the splits here are really nice, and that's not going to do any damage.
Yeah, he was really looking for a cost-effective fight. But at the same time, the Muta's in the main base doing a lot of SCV damage. But he really needs to hold on to this fourth base just to completely secure this win.
Yeah, well, he's going to have a good split up here again at the top of the ramp, but this time he doesn't have the numbers that he needs. And he's trying to use those Widow Mines to his advantage. Widow Mines actually doing more harm than good there at the end of the story.
Yeah, and SoulKey able to take that fight without the Mutalisks.
If he had his Mutalisks at just a slightly better angle, could have caught some of those medevacs. I think that was the plan there.
65 workers have been killed by SoulKey.
Not a single for Maru.
That's insane. It's so ridiculous. He's playing so well, and he's really thought about this, and his plan has worked absolutely perfectly.
Well, you know what? You know what I was saying earlier about SoulKey having a lot of stress going into this match. Looks like his build that he's prepared here is definitely paying off. Yeah, like it a lot. Like the Evo chambers in the main, very tricky. You know, always messing with Maru from the start. And you know, those roaches that he made earlier, I like it because it adds a little bit of extra DPS in your army. It forces. It's almost like the same way you look at PvT, where you like show blink and they're like, oh, I got to get ready for this, and then you just don't really even have that much of an attack coming. You just macro up behind it. You get the upgrades. I feel like that's a similar analogy here to what we saw in this game with how we hit the Evo Chambers in the main base.
Yeah, I got the same feeling from that as well.
Well, let's see. I mean, Maru he's spread so thin here that it's very difficult for him to actually harass. And if he doesn't harass, then SoulKey's bank just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. His hive is getting close to completion. Not liking his position here at all. It's going to take a really good engagement, but there are almost as many banelings on the map now as there are Marines.
Yeah, it's all about finding the right connections. I mean, there are a few Widow Mines that can do a lot of damage and really change the fight. And if you can pick them off with Mutalisks, like he's flying around, he might be trying to find a couple. And if you can get a couple, you know, it's going to make the engagement so much easier.
Good splitting here by Maru. He's like ready.
He's absolutely ready. He knows that, like, he's posturing up. He really wants to find that good engagement. But, you know, throwing your whole army at like a position Terran is very rarely a good idea, and it's always going to be cost inefficient.
Yeah. Now SoulKey finding this drop over here. I think the medevac might get away with some units here. Well, it's going to try to drop here, maybe get some damage done, but those units are going to go down. There's way too many Vitas in the sky right now.
Way too many.
At the same time, Maru kind of dealing with a lot of the creep, which is a really, really smart play. But at the same time, we got a run by at the third base.
Oh, that roll by, man.
The roll by. Does a little, actually does nothing really. Gets rid of the bunker, but that's not really worth it.
Widow Mine's shot was huge. Killed so many banelings, and the rest of them just blew up on the buildings.
You know what? Tier 3 is
He's actually, you know, not that much gas bank left anymore here, so he's got to be careful with his banelings. He still has plenty, you know, 61.
He certainly invested a lot, and I don't know about this engagement either. This is way too much. He is not in position to really run into the Terran like that, and he's going to be really careful now because his army is kind of cost inefficient, and
he's down on upgrades now. I mean,
so many Widow Mines.
It's 3-2 against 2-2, and here we go. Those Widow Mines getting into a good spot here. The splitting for Maru is excellent as well, and he's actually going to push his way back through this. And if you look at the supplies right now, it looks like SoulKey has this huge advantage, but that's mostly in workers right now. Maru is neck and neck with him in army supply, and he's got the better army. These Ultras that are popping out are still small in number.
Yeah, and he doesn't have the armor upgrades for those yet as well. The upgrades are just not here, but, you know, decent hits here, and it seems like some Ultralists in the sky as well as the Mutas should be able to clean up the rest of this army of Maru.
Yeah, it looks like it. You know, a good last stand here by Maru, but just too much Zerg. The overwhelming reinforcements there kill him. GG indeed.
That was, yeah, it was a bit scary, but I mean, like, he had a Remax, he had like a lot of bank, and he had Ultras on the way, so it was like, as long as he doesn't throw away too much of his army and gets a good engagement, he'll crush him.
I feel like that was Maru's, you know, like what Wolf said, his last stand basically. That was like a very good timing to come in and try to make that push, but it just wasn't enough. He was just too far behind.
He was in desperate mode. Losing that third like that, you know, the only gamble he's got left is to take one good fight and hopefully be ridiculously cost efficient.
Well, things are looking pretty hairy right now for JINAIR Green Wings. And,
yeah, SK Telecom T1 is looking like they're even looking like a totally different team here. They're just, it's like so hard to beat this team right now.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if right now things are looking hairy for JINAIR, things are looking like Kaldor's head for SK Telecom T1, man. Things are looking pretty shiny,
smooth,
dude. Yeah.
Smooth, shiny, lucky if you rub it the right way.
Yeah. Now, in this case, right, I mean, I think they were really, if you look at JINAIR, they're putting Maru out second.